1964 will forever be known as the year of riots. The total casualties of that year from riots were 36 dead and 556 injured. It wasn't clear what started the riots, but it was certain that there was already tension between the Chinese and Malay race, and all it took was a simple ignorant act of disrespect on Prophet Muhammad's birthday that triggered the whole event. We think that the root cause of race riots is due to racial discrimination. Here are some of the main causes of racism. Minimal interaction between races. Singaporeans, despite having common spaces, may choose to avoid people of other races due to their own stereotypes against them. Poor understanding of each other. For example, if you simply ask a Chinese student, why do Muslims not eat pork? Or ask a Muslim student, why do Taoists burn incense paper? They will most probably not have an answer. This is because of the lack of understanding for each other's races.
Even though the government has come up with a few effective and somewhat successful policies such as common spaces, national service, and a new educational system to curb the problem, racism still lives on today. In common spaces, many people try to keep interaction between races to a bare minimum, trying as much as possible to keep with their own race. This is a very telltale sign that racism, to a certain extent, still exists in current society. As for national service, even though teenage men go through thick and thin together, it's still a measly 2 years of their life. Chances are they do not keep in contact with one another after NS is over. The new educational system seems to be the most effective policy to stop racism. The need of being bilingual and having students do projects together. Interaction between races is increased. However, there are many schools with an astoundingly high majority of one race. Take for example Mahabali's primary school. Across the 6 levels in 2011, they had less than 10 non-Chinese. ACS Barker is only slightly better, clocking in at about 90% of its students being Chinese. This unequal distribution of races in some schools makes it very hard for students to understand or interact with people from other races. As such, we have a few proposed solutions. The government could implement an activity in which students from each race will visit other races' religious buildings for their prayers and activities, so as to understand why they do the things that they do. For national service, we could also allow reservicemen to come back as a unit or with their buddies so that they can keep in touch more often even after NS is over.
Walk onto the streets and many people still look down on the other races. From the Chinese looking down on Indians, calling them kileng kias, which means black slaves, and Malays calling the Chinese chinhos, which means yellow monkey. All these have very traditional origins and are most commonly used by the elderly. For example, the early Indians were brought to Singapore by the British as slaves. As such, they had chains on their legs. When they walked, they made a clanging noise. Hence, early Chinese settlers called them kileng, kling, kias, a way to call a kid. Many of the younger generation don't even know what these terms mean. They simply use them because their parents or grandparents do too. The lack of understanding amongst each other's race and religion can be helped from the time the students are young, best when they are at primary school. Firstly, parents can teach their children the importance of respecting each other's races. Parents must also be an example to their children by not saying the wrong things and mind their language. Secondly, schools have to promote racial harmony amongst students. In school, we will only look out for each other's races when it is Racial Harmony Day. However, this is definitely not going to be enough. Schools should constantly be reminding students about racial harmony. They can organize talks once a month to tell the students about the importance of racial harmony. They can also have different days in a week where the students would be assuming the role of other races. In this way, they will be able to better understand and appreciate the other races and religions. Thirdly, every individual should also have an open mind. For example, people of Chinese race may like to visit a mosque so as to know what happens there to fully understand their culture and beliefs. This will help because when the Chinese understand the lives of the people in other races, they would then not make racist comments against them.